Unlikely Friendships for Kids, The Dog and the Piglet, and 4 Other Stories of Animal Friendships by Jennifer Holland. Chapter 1, The Dog and the Piglet. Katjanja was a dog who lived on a farm in Germany. She was a Rhodesian Ridgeback. This breed of dog is quite large. Many years ago, people in Africa used Ridgebacks to help them hunt lions. These dogs were not only big, they were very fierce. Katjanja was not a fierce hunting dog, though. She was a very gentle dog, and one night on the farm she proved just how gentle she was. On that cold night, a little pot-bellied pig was born. The farmer found the piglet all alone. The piglet's mother was nowhere in sight. Perhaps she had gone to look for food, or perhaps she had abandoned the tiny piglet. Sometimes animals leave their babies when they are so small that they are not likely to survive. This piglet was so tiny and weak, he did not look like he would live through the night. The farmer decided to name the shivering piglet Paulinchen. Then he took him back to his home and placed him near Katjanja. He hoped Paulinchen would get warm by lying near a huge dog, and he hoped Katjanja would not mind a tiny pot-bellied piglet lying down next to her. Katjanja was a Ridgeback, after all, and Ridgebacks once hunted lions. Would this Ridgeback be nice to the piglet? Luckily, Katjanja was more than nice to Paulinchen. She started to mother the little piglet. She nuzzled him. She licked him all over just like mama dogs lick their puppies. The next day, Katjanja and Paulinchen were snuggled up like 2 peas in a pod. Katjanja didn't mind when the piglet tried to nurse from her, even though she had no milk. In time, when Paulinchen was strong enough, the farmer reunited the piglet with his real mother, but Paulinchen never forgot Katjanja. Every time he saw the big brown dog on the farm, he ran up to nuzzle her, just like Katjanja did to him on the night that he was born. Chapter 2, The Orangutan and the Cat. Tonda, an old orangutan that lived in a zoo, was not known for being nice. In fact, she was downright grouchy, not just with the zookeepers, but even with her own mate. And yet, when her mate died, the zookeepers noticed that Tonda got very, very sad. The zookeepers tried giving Tonda lots of toys to lift her spirits. They filled her days with activities, but Tonda was still sad. She started to eat less. Then the zookeepers had an idea. What if Tonda got introduced to a new friend? And they had just the friend in mind. A tabby cat named TK. Now, for some reason, the cat wasn't afraid of this grumpy old orangutan, and the orangutan, who was always rough with other animals, was very gentle with TK. The zookeepers noticed that Tonda got angry every time they took TK away, but whenever they let TK play with Tonda, the orangutan became happy, so they let TK stay with Tonda all the time. TK became very important to Tonda. The orangutan always kept her eye on him. She would scoop up TK and carry him to her bed at night, then tuck him under a blanket to keep him warm. She played with him all the time and often hugged him tenderly. The cat loved Tonda too. He liked to lick Tonda and rub his face against Tonda's. The zookeepers believed that TK saved Tonda's life. After she became friends with the cat, she started eating again. Tonda never changed her ways with other animals. She was still mean and grumpy to the rest of the world, but to the cat who saved her life, well, the orangutan was always as gentle as a lamb. Chapter 3, The Hippopotamus and the Goat. A hippopotamus is not a good house pet. Just ask the family who tried to raise a hippo named Humphrey. To start with, hippos are the 3rd largest land animals in the world. Only elephants and rhinoceroses are bigger. But even though they grow to be huge, hippos don't start out that way. A baby hippo is only about the size of a large dog. A dog isn't too big to keep inside a house, so it didn't seem like a baby hippo would be too big either. At first, everything went very well for Humphrey. He liked to sit on the furniture. He enjoyed hanging out with people, but what he liked most was swimming in the backyard pool. Hippopotamuses usually live near rivers where they spend much of their days in the water. After about 6 months, Humphrey got too big to live in the house. The family tried to move him outside, but Humphrey was a little spoiled by then. He wanted to live in the house, not in the yard, so he broke down the door to get inside. That may sound cute, but Humphrey was no longer the size of a dog. He was the size of a small car. If Humphrey cuddled on the bed with the family, he would break the bed. The family moved Humphrey to a nearby game reserve where he would be cared for. At first, Humphrey was lonely, but he soon became friends with another animal on the game reserve, a pygmy goat. It was a strange pair, the giant hippo and the tiny goat. They became inseparable. Humphrey started copying the goat's behavior. He would try to climb the fences of his pen just like the goat did. No one had ever seen a hippo trying to climb a fence before. Then again, no one had ever tried to keep a hippo inside a house before either. Humphrey was a very special hippo, that's for sure. Chapter 4, The Deer and the Dog. Dilly was a white-tailed deer that had been born blind. She was unable to eat or stand up on her bony little legs. Since she would not have survived in her natural environment, a veterinarian decided to bring the tiny deer home to live with her family. This vet also took care of a lot of other animals, including a poodle named Lady. Lady was a great comfort to Dilly. She let the frightened deer lie next to her on the couch. She licked her all over. Dilly started licking Lady in return. The two became best friends. They played tug-of-war with stuffed animals, and they got into mischief together too. Dilly sometimes grabbed food from high shelves for Lady to snack on. Dilly and Lady even slept in the same bed, though Dilly sometimes kicked poor Lady onto the floor. Lady never seemed to mind, though. Good friends never do. Chapter 5, The Iguana and the Cat. New York City is home to a lot of things, like the Empire State Building, the Yankees, the Statue of Liberty, and Central Park. But one thing it is definitely not is a home for iguanas, which is why this story is strange in many ways. One day as a man was walking to work, he came across a small iguana on the street. Iguanas usually live in Central or South America. What was an iguana doing on a New York City street? Well, no one knows. But the man did know that a small iguana would not survive on the streets of New York, so he brought the iguana to a friend who often took in stray animals. His friend welcomed the little iguana and named him Sobe. In time, the small iguana grew to be 4.5 feet long. A short while after giving Sobe a home, the same woman found a stray cat near her house. He was very sick. He had pneumonia and an eye infection, and he was covered with fleas. So the woman took the cat home and nursed him back to health. She named him Johann. The first time Johann met Sobe, the iguana hissed. He puffed himself up to make himself look big. This is what iguanas do in the wild to scare away predators. But the cat wasn't scared at all. He just rubbed up against the iguana's rough skin and purred. Sobe calmed down. He closed his eyes and let the cat rub against his face. After that, the two were always together. Johann would clean Sobe, and Sobe would follow Johann all around the house. Sobe would climb onto the bed to sleep with Johann. The two were often found curled up next to each other. Johann with his head leaning on Sobe's body, and Sobe with his mouth turned up in what looked very much like a smile. Now here we have an animal list. We have a cat. It says common house pet that is also an excellent hunter. Cats have been friends with humans for thousands of years, meaning that they are domesticated. A dog, which is also domesticated, is a common house pet related to the gray wolf. Dogs have been friends with humans also for thousands of years. Then we have an elephant, a large mammal with big ears, a long trunk, and 2 ivory tusks. That sounded like an elephant. Elephants live in Africa and Asia and are the largest living land animals. Goats are mammals with hollow horns that curve backward. They are related to sheep, but they usually have straight hair. Hippopotamus are large mammals that live in Africa and spend most of the time in the water. Its name actually means river horse. An iguana is a large lizard with scales along its back and loose skin hanging from its neck. It eats plants and lives in the tropics. A lion is a big cat that lives mostly in Africa. Lions are the only big cats that live in groups, which are called prides. An orangutan is a large ape with reddish-brown hair and long arms. Orangutans live in trees and eat mostly plants. A piglet is a baby pig. A poodle is an active, intelligent dog with a curly coat. It can be small, medium-sized, or large and makes a very good house pet. A pot-bellied pig is a small pig with a round belly and straight tail. Pot-bellied pigs come from Asia and have either black, white, or black and white coats. A puffer fish is a fish that can puff itself up into a ball and has lots of spines to keep predators away. It's also called a blowfish. A pygmy goat is a small goat that eats mostly greens and grains. The word pygmy means a person or thing very small for its kind. A rhinoceros is a large plant-eating mammal from Africa and Asia that has thick skin and 1 or 2 heavy horns on its snout. A Rhodesian ridgeback is a large dog from Africa that was once used for hunting lions. It is known for being fierce and very brave. Sweet lips is a fish with large lips that often live in coral reefs. Sweet lips are usually found alone or in small groups. A tortoise is a reptile that lives on land and is protected by a hard shell. It is closely related to the turtle. And a white-tailed deer is a medium-sized mammal that lives in North America. Males have antlers, and the females, also known as a doe, do not. Then we have word and phrase list. Abandoned means left behind. Behavior, the way an animal or person usually acts. Breed, the type of animal, especially a dog or cat. You might hear someone say the breed of my dog is a golden retriever or a German shepherd or an Australian shepherd. Coral reef is a chain of underwater coral and limestone rocks near the surface of the ocean where fish and other sea creatures live. Fierce means unfriendly and aggressive. A game reserve means an area of land where animals live and are visited by tourists. Inseparable means always together. Mate means an animal's partner. Mother, one to take care of a baby. Natural environment, the area in the wild where an animal is best able to live. Nurse, to drink milk from a mother's breast. It can also mean to help someone who is sick to get well. Pneumonia is a sickness of the lungs that makes it hard to breathe. Predator is an animal that hunts and eats other animals. Reunited means to be brought together again. Scuba dive means to swim underwater using an oxygen tank and to have a mask to breathe. Species is a group of animals of the same kind. Stray cat means a cat that has no home or owner. A tabby cat is a house cat with a striped or spotted coat. Tsunami is a big sea wave caused by an earthquake or a volcanic eruption under the sea that often leads to a flood. A veterinarian is an animal doctor, sometimes called a vet for short. And last but not least, a zookeeper is a person who takes care of animals in a zoo.